I've just looked up draw in the official dictionary. It's described as the result Newcastle United Football Club receive every single weekend. I didn't go down to Bournemouth today, unfortunately. I don't envy those fans travelling all the way back because that was pretty shite. We might be going to Wembley, and we're all excited as hell for that, but is it the players who have one eye on that as well? I don't know. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss the game. We're just going to discuss everything Bournemouth 1, Newcastle United 1 related. So make sure you stick around because it's coming up. Welcome back to Black White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. How's the draw, did you say, is the term that comes to mind? Yes, it's another draw for Newcastle. Before I get into that though, if you are new to Black White Banter, or if you're not new, drop down, give us one of them. That goes a long way. If you like my opinion by the end of this video, whack that subscribe. Please do that for me. That would be lovely. I didn't get a chance to go down to Bournemouth. I was offered a ticket. I was going to go, but I've just had one of them weeks where a trip down there just wasn't really doable. So I don't really like these away match reactions in the house. I just, it's not for me. I'd rather be on the bus back now, doing my whole match vlog. So, yeah, that was a new one for me this season. First one when I've been in the country that I haven't gone to. So, bit of a knife in the dagger. That's sort of like OCD's kicking in with that one. But I got a different perspective watching it on the TV today. And a more frustrated one, I think, because I was able to watch more of the action, analyse things a bit more, and generally speaking, my analysis is that was pretty shit. That was one of the worst performances of our season so far, to be totally honest. And if you take that statement with a pinch of salt, if one of our worst performances of the season comes away without a defeat, that says something about how far we've come. But it's all well and good saying, look how far we've come, that we're disappointed with the draw because of where we were last year. But we can't keep saying that when we don't play well. There's got to be that happy medium. And I've just watched Kieran Trippier's interview after the game, and he talked about how far we've come. Yes, of course, this is an amazing season regardless of what happens, but the bar has been set by Eddie Howe, and Bournemouth have conceded the most goals in the Premier League this season, and 19th in the league, and we've gone there and basically created one rebounded shot from Almiron, a P-roller from Isaac, and a P-roller from St. Maximin. Those are the only shots I can remember on target. That's not good enough. That really isn't good enough. And Newcastle tonight, for me, were lacking so many things before we talk about individual performances. We're lacking that zip, that really intense press, that exciting drive forward as a team, as well as defensively back in the other direction. We've just dropped off a little bit. There's a bit of momentum there in the final third gone. We've had issues all season with chance conversion, and that's just rising to the surface even more because we lost Miguel Almiron's purple patch. Callum Wilson hasn't been firing on front of goal when he's been playing. Isaac's been brought in today and he's still finding his feet. And our central midfield just doesn't have goals in them. Like Longstaff proved what he can do in front of goal in the Cup semi-final against Southampton, and he's trying to make things happen. But Joe Willock hasn't really contributed goals all season, really. Bruno, we know how much we miss him. It's his creativity we miss, though, not his goals. And Joe Linton, he can contribute in that end of the field, but he's more the starter of attacks. He's not the finisher of attacks with regards to assists and whatnot. So chance conversion was always the thing I put down to us dropping out of them Champions League places and squad depth as well, and I stand by that. That's not me being negative. I just still think we do not have enough in the tank to get Champions League. Just a generally disappointing day. I thought across the board today, performance-wise players, I think the players that came out, I'll start with the positives, the players that came out with a little bit more credit. I thought Isaac, we've wanted him to start and he looked good. I think he wasn't given many opportunities or much service, but he was constantly making runs, very direct, switching sides, running channels, maybe things we've seen Callum Wilson do more recently that he hasn't done much of when he's played lately. Apparently he's out with a hamstring injury, a light hamstring injury. Fingers crossed that's not serious. So I thought Isaac, I want to see more of him. I think there's only going to be more good things from him to come as a player finding his feet in the Premier League after injury. I thought Sean Longstaff was our man of the match today, if we were to have one in a poor performance. Trying to make things happen. Great run for the goal and an unlucky shot that Almiron obviously scored the rebound from. I want to see more of Longstaff trying to make things happen in the final third. He scored recently against Southampton. He is always in and around that box, and I want to see more of that, and he's only going to improve, but his work rate is second to none. So he would be my man of the match. Apart from that, I'm clutching at straws a little bit. I thought defensively, we were still quite solid, but that's the sloppiest we've been defensively as a unit. And negative performances now. St. Maximin came in. A lot of people want to see him playing more. He played against West Ham last week, and I didn't like him against West Ham. He did well for our goal to play the ball into Longstaff, yes, but generally speaking, I've said it once, I'll say it again, we are seeing a different St. Maximin, a one who is trying to pass the ball more. We all know St. Maximin gets bullied off the ball a bit, strength-wise. We all know he goes down a bit easy. We all know his work rate isn't great at the other end of the field. But we are seeing a St. Maximin who is not running past 2 or 3 or even attempting it. And when he has, he's looked a bit poorer lately. We are seeing a one who's trying to pass the ball more. And in my opinion, Alan St. Maximin is not a good crosser of the football. He hasn't got a great shot on him. He's most of his shots are P-rollers. They're either really high or they roll into the goalkeeper's hands with ease across the floor. So that's why I can't rate his performances as great, because he's not putting good balls into the box. He's not having enough shots at goal of any type of quality, and he's not taking many men on and creating things in that way. I think a lot of Newcastle fans are still clinging on to the fact that he got a man sent off against Southampton in the Cup's first leg, and that was a while ago now. Before that, take that out of the equation. When was the last time you saw him have a good game for Newcastle? But everyone is talking about Alan St. Maximin at the moment in the Newcastle fan community on social media. This was a poor performance across the board. I thought Joe Linton didn't have his best game today. Sloppy with the football. Almiron, yes, he scored, but he has not been great for us for a while now. Yes, he's full of running. Yes, he's full of intent. But he's always been full of them things. That's the Almiron that we remember from before. I haven't seen him take a man on for a while. I haven't seen him put a cross in at the box for a while. So that's a cause for concern. We know we miss Bruno. My God, do we miss Bruno. And I think our central midfield has become reliant on him. They do the dirty work. They give the ball to him. He's the one who sees something in a blink of an eye and spreads it or slips a ball through. And without him, I think there's a bit of cluelessness there. And I think Sean Longstaff is trying to take that central midfield area by the grasp of the neck, and fair play to the kid. Loves the club, loves Newcastle United. He's trying to make things happen. He really is. And that's why, for me, again, he's probably my man of the match today. If I was to give that out to a Newcastle player, he'd be my highest rated, should I say. But we miss him. And don't get, going to defensive, sloppiest we've been. Trippier is still being sloppy with the ball. I don't think his deliveries into the box are great. That's been the case since the turn of the year, since the World Cup, if I'm being totally honest. So we know he's solid defensively, and my God, did he save our asses in the last couple of minutes. Dan Burn, for me, was the standout poor performance today. And I love the kid, pretty green eyes. Who can not love Dan Burn? Who can not love the man? He lives and breathes Newcastle. He's our Geordie giant. But I think against West Ham last week, he was poor. And today, that's probably his worst performance in a Newcastle shirt. Why he switched off in the last couple of minutes and just stopped when the ball was still in play, when they almost scored off the line, is beyond me. I was screaming at the TV watching that, because if my mate in 5-a-side switched off like that when the ball was still being played, I'd be going mental. Don't know what he was thinking. His head had gone. He kicked the ball away at one point in frustration. Sloppy with the ball, not offering as much going forward. And he hasn't been great for the last 2 or 3. I thought he was really bad at St. James's Park last week. And the question has to start being asked when a player isn't playing great. Eddie Howe has a left-back chomping at the bit in Matt Target, who hasn't put much of a foot wrong for Newcastle United since he signed for us. Do you switch that up a little bit? I don't know. Is Dan Burn being found out a little bit? I'm not one of them ones who's going to jump the gun, because he's been wonderful for us in Newcastle shirt. But we are talking about right now, and that was his poorest performance for us. I think vindicated by how he acted in that last couple of minutes when they almost scored the winner. Probably deservedly scored the winner, if I'm being totally honest with you. They created the better chances. So defensively, we were sloppy today. Obviously, Botman is Botman. He did his usual shithousery. Fabian Schär, very much the same. But again, we were giving the ball away a lot, not creating anything at the other end, lacking ideas, going long a lot. I feel like we do that more without Bruno in the middle. We play long balls, and that's not how we've become used to under Eddie Howe, who, can I just say, looked furious at the end of the game, by the way. With me being able to watch it on the telly, he looked livid before he got his round of applause from the whole stadium, which was lovely. But he looked fuming, and I'm sure he will be, because that's not the standard that Eddie Howe's set. So yeah, very, very disappointing across the board for me today. And I think these sorts of factors, with the injuries we've had today, we don't know how serious they are. Willock goes off early on. Maximin lands awkwardly. Almiron lands awkwardly. Our squad depth is becoming more and more concerning. If Willock's injured for Liverpool next Saturday, that's no Bruno, no Willock. You're looking at playing Anthony Gordon, who's obviously, we've seen a bit of him today. I don't think Anthony Gordon likes to play where he played today, and I don't want to see him there. I think Anthony Gordon, to me, looks like a winger, an out-and-out winger. Pacey, likes to cut in. That Roman role that he was forced to play today through injuries, I don't think that's us seeing a lot of Anthony Gordon. He was on the left, he was on the right. I could be wrong. I'm still learning about the player myself. Maybe someone let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but he looks like a winger who wants to cut inside. He's got pace to burn. I think he was kind of forced into where he played today, but still a couple of bright spells, just here and there. But nothing to shout home about from him or any player on the field today. So let's just keep our fingers and toes crossed those injuries aren't bad, because we all know we've got the biggest match of our lives on the horizon. But I've said since the start of the season, yes, this season is wonderful. This season is amazing. We don't even know what can happen in that cup final yet. We could be cup winners in a couple of weeks. My fucking God, fingers crossed. But we still have to call out performances like what we've just seen as being very, very poor. You know, we had an opportunity today to go 5 points above Spurs, who got battered today. We've got an opportunity to bark down Man United's throat to play tomorrow. We've been in the top 4 all season. It's going to be disappointing if we start dropping down because of going to places like Bournemouth and creating nought. That's the biggest disappointment for me, is that we haven't created anything. If it was a 2-2 exciting draw, you know, a couple of lucky goals from them, but we've created chance after chance after chance and everyone's been off the seats watching it, I can take that a little bit easier than playing so lethargic, so lack of energy, so lack of ideas of what I saw today against a very poor team. Call a spade, no disrespect to Bournemouth, a very poor team. I've been saying for months now that I don't think we'll get Champions League. Whatever we get, European football-wise, if that's the case, will be absolutely incredible on this journey that we're on, faster than what we expected. But I don't think we will because of chance conversion. I don't think we will because of squad depth. And those two factors for now are being very worrying for me. More the chance conversion, because we've got the biggest game of our lives in Man United in 2 weeks at Wembley on that glorious day in London. And chance conversion needs to be better if we are going to be celebrating by the end of that in Trafalgar Square fountain. It really, really does. Liverpool next week, we can put Liverpool to the sword. They are all at 6s and 7s at the moment, but only if we improve in the final third. And with the injuries, suspensions, I don't think that's going to happen. So Eddie Howe really, really, for me, needs to go back to the drawing board before that huge game in a fortnight on how he can figure this out. What's maybe going wrong? Is Wembley a distraction? Has it been an emotionally draining, physically draining distraction? I don't know. Would I blame the players if that's the case? You know, if they've still got a job to do, I'm not going to get my little violin out for them. We don't have any European football or FA Cup on top of what we've got going on at the moment. But we are just lacking something that we didn't have a couple of weeks ago. And I'd be very, very curious, Newcastle fans, to get your thoughts in the comments of what you thought of that match, what you think we're missing, and where you think we go moving forward. Because for that Liverpool game, I'm looking at it and I think, what changes do I make? Well, we'll see what the injuries are first. Has St. Maximin done enough to stay in? I don't know. Has Almiron done enough to stay in recently? I don't know. Midfield is going to pick itself because of injuries and suspensions, I think. Defence, we know our defence has been good, but Dan Burn, for me, do you make a change with Matt Targett? That's what I'm asking after that game. You can only pick players on form. I don't like to feel like I'm singling out Dan Burn, but I think out of a bad bunch today, he was probably the worst, and he hasn't been great for a couple of weeks. So there's a couple of decisions for Eddie Howe to make there. I think his hands are tied very much between now and the end of the season with regards to squad depth and injuries. Joe Linton's only 1 game away, a yellow card away from a ban. I think that's his 9th he's picked up in that game. So there's lots of things for him to think about. But again, I understand the perspective argument, but we are still here to talk about Newcastle United match by match. And if Newcastle were 10th in the league, 11th, going to struggling Bournemouth and creating as little chances as that and looking as lethargic as what we did and sloppy on the ball, I'd still be saying the same things I am right now. So lots to think about. Still an amazing season. Still could be the greatest season of my lifetime with regards to that match in a couple of weeks. But we do need to improve if we are going to have that wonderful next final phase of the season. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, Newcastle fans. If you've stuck around this long, please whack that like. Hit the subscribe button. There is going to be more content coming. Of course, there's going to be a hell of a lot of Wembley content coming in the next fortnight. And I just want to say, to finish this video, I've been a little bit quiet with match previews and reactions to stadium expansions and all the Newcastle news this week. I've had a lot going on in my life personally. But I'll tell you what, Black and White Banter, every subscriber, every follower on social media, doing little videos like this and making content is a lovely distraction. So I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you to anyone who watches. Thank you to anyone who subscribes. And thank you to anyone who follows on social media and even buys my merchandise as well. Lovely, lovely welcome distraction. Don't let that ruin your weekend too much, Newcastle fans. We've lost one game and it's February. How insane is that? And we've got a cup final on the horizon. But things do need to improve. I'll see you on the next one. Away the lads.